Good morning. It's Monday morning. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I did. Got some gardening done. Got my greenhouse repaired. Some work around the house, plants and whatnot I worked on. It was a beautiful weekend. And while I was outside, I got to listen to all of the music coming from the Beaver Dam swap meet, which was a lot of fun. And pretty crowded. So they had a really good turnout for that swap meet this weekend. Let's see what is happening this week. We have got the Mesquite Today Spectacular coming up this weekend. So you'll want to make sure you go out and get your tickets for that. They don't last long. They sell out very quickly. And they have 4 shows. 2 shows on Friday, 2 shows on Saturday, and their show times are 1 and 7 p.m. We also have, we have the Grand Bazaar that is going on all month long through the 24th at the Mesquite Fine Arts Gallery. The bazaar is kind of like their Christmas bazaar. Local artists display all of their wares. They've got purses, leather, painted scarves, paintings, ceramics, clay works, crochet, jewelry, you name it, they've got it. And everything is one of a kind. And if you've got anybody that is really difficult to shop for, that is a great place to go and find something very unique, interesting, and to support your local artists at the same time. So we have the Mesquite Cornhole Fest coming up this weekend as well. And that is on Saturday. And that is a first-time event. Mesquite Senior Games. It's being co-sponsored by Arvada Springs and several other organizations. The event check-in time is at 8 o'clock. The event begins at 9. They have competitive and non-competitive games. They have games that are specifically for the senior games, but then they have other games that are competitive that aren't part of the Mesquite Senior Games. They're just for fun. They have bounce houses coming out, food vendor, barbecue, I guess. They're, Mesquite firemen are doing what they do really well, cooking up some great barbecue for everybody. And it is a day-long event, so go on out, check it out, have a great time. Cornhole's a fun game, kind of like horseshoes, but there's a block of wood. You got to throw the beanbag in the hole instead of getting the horseshoe around the pole. So that's always a good time. And let's see, from today, what do we have going on today? We've got story time at the library at 10 o'clock, and that's from ages 0 to 5 years old. We have the Mesquite Fine Arts Gallery Photographic Society. They're meeting today from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Mesquite Arts Center classroom. They've got the adult coloring class at the Mesquite Library from 1 to 2, and the bereavement group from 5 to 6:30 at the library. We have the Ham Radio Club that is meeting at 1200 Kitty Hawk. That's Fire Station number 2 at 6 p.m. Tomorrow we have COVID testing at the fire department from 8 to 9. Toddler story time at the library from 10 to 11. The Rotary meeting at noon. Toastmasters meets tomorrow at 8 a.m. and that is a virtual meeting. So If you do want to join up, there's going to be some information for the Toastmasters in the calendar, which will be published later today, probably within an hour or two of the broadcast. We also have a city council meeting tomorrow night from 5 to 7, or longer or shorter, depending on what's on the agenda. You can look up the agenda on the Mesquite City Hall, the City of Mesquite, Nevada, their website. They've got all their meetings, their agendas. They do show the meeting virtually as well. So you can follow it along from the comfort of your home and don't necessarily have to show up at City Hall chambers. But that is tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. And then we have the drawing class from 2 to 4 at the art gallery tomorrow. On Wednesday, we have the intermediate and the beginner's watercolor class. Both of those are at the Mesquite Fine Arts Gallery. The intermediate class is from 9 to 11:30, and the beginner's class is from 1 to 3. They have the chamber lunch this week, and that is at the Casablanca Resort Pool. So it'll be an outside poolside luncheon. Should be very nice. Doors open at 10:45. Visit your Mesquite Chamber of Commerce website to register for that. You do have to pre-register. Believe there'd probably be seats available for the day up, but it's cheaper if you pre-register, I believe. And we have the Virgin Valley Connections. Great group telling you all about Mesquite, what you need to find out, nonprofits, certain businesses. Great way to connect with organizations, individuals, all kinds of things. I'll tell you all about Mesquite, talk about what's going on as well. Virgin Valley Connections meets at the Mesquite Library, and that will be on Wednesday from 1:30 to 3:30. And it is a good organization to get involved with and get to know what's going on, especially if you're new in town and you don't know what's going on. So we have the wellness and healing classes run by Ray Romney. That's at the Mesquite's Women's History and Culture Center, and located at 225 North Willow Street. So that's right on the college campus there, over by the theater, old room 23, I believe it was. And that's at 4 o'clock. Then we have the Mesquite Republican Women meeting at the Veterans Center on Wednesday from 5:30 to 7. So that's a monthly meeting in the Mesquite Republican Women. And I believe you just need to show up. They will tell you all about what they do and what the club's about, what they've got working out there. On Thursday, we have a ribbon cutting for a company called Store More, self-storage. It's located at 51 Auto Mall Circle over there by the Ford dealership. And the ribbon cutting will take place at 9 a.m. on Thursday. We have the Adult Coloring Club at the Mesquite Library from 2:30 to 3:30 on Thursday. The STEAM activity for kids from 4 to 5. Again, STEAM gets into all kinds of projects, from 3D printing to some kind of artwork, to building things, to science projects, experiments, all kinds of stuff. And then we have the Al-Anon support group that meets every Thursday at the Mesquite Library from 4 to 5. On Friday, we have the social art group, again at the Mesquite Fine Arts Center from 9 a.m. till noon. You can bring whatever project you're working on, drop in. You don't have to belong to any certain organization. They just go in, work on their projects, beading, painting, drawing, whatever you want to work on. Paper towel, it doesn't matter. The ladies really have a great social time. Talk, gab, and then they do lunch. And they have a fantastic day when they do that. So I know they keep saying what a wonderful time they have. So might be something if you're interested in this little social interaction, be a good way to do that. And have fun with art. You don't have to be an artist to enjoy. And then again, the Toast Spectacular. Buy your tickets quick, guys. It does sell out. Their shows are at 1 and 7. They did originally only promote 3 shows, but they found that their tickets were selling out so quickly they had to add that 4th show, and it is their fundraiser event of the season for themselves. They do 2 events a year. One event is in the wintertime around Christmas. They usually do for the food bank and Salvation Army. And then this one in the summer or in the springtime, they do for their own fundraiser so that they can continue to buy new costumes. And I know they have to buy royalties and stuff for their dances, but to keep, pay studio time and all that and keep them going and entertaining us in such wonderful ways that they do. They're also, again, on Saturday at 1 and 7. Then we have the movie matinee for adults at the Mesquite Library from 1 to 4. You might want to check with the library to find out what movie is playing. It did not say on their calendar, but it is for adults, and they generally show a lot of comedies. It's really a fun time. They get Smart with Art Youth classes at the Mesquite Fine Arts Center from 10 to noon. And on Sunday, we have the Women's History and Culture Center Wellness Craft Sunday. And what is that all about? Their Wellness Craft Sunday doesn't say too much about it, only that it is at 4 p.m. And that is located at 2, what is it? Women's History and Culture Center is 225 North Willow. No, I've seen a lot of this. Sometimes it says 175, sometimes it's 150, suite number 23, but the official address is 225 North Willow. And again, that's 4 o'clock. It's a wellness craft session. So they do crafts, probably a lot of spiritual healing talk, talk about meditation, some of the things that Ray runs, her wellness classes. What else do they have? Coming up, save the date, because on April 26th, and this is not this week, but the following week after that, their full moon ceremony. And that is something I'm going to have to check out myself, because I'm not really sure what their full moon ceremonies entail. But that is on April 26th at 4 p.m. They do this as a monthly thing. You might want to check it out if you're into winter solstice, Wicca, anything like that. I know that the full moon ceremonies are really important with all of that. So that is it with that's happening at the Women's History and Culture Center. They are open limited hours for some activity. I'm sure if you contact them to, want to come in and check out a book or run a group, they have space available. You can contact Jean or Carol Saldivar on that, and their number and information is in the printed calendar that will be out again later today. And that will be pinned always to the top of the page. There'll be a different event that is highlighted for the week. So, last week it was Mesquite Senior Games Golf. So don't necessarily think that that's the only thing that's published. It does say the weekly calendar. It'll say this week, the 12th through the 18th. So again, pinned to the top, so you'll always be able to go right to the top of the page and find the calendar and print. Now, what I wanted to talk about a little bit today, they did the cleanup, and there's a letter posted from David Alplinlap, who runs the Scenic Betterment Committee. They found somebody after the cleanup and everything, and there was a ton of trash out there. Oh my goodness. Wow, people, please. I know some of it is from people who are homeless and camping and living out there, but a lot of it isn't. A lot of it is just people going out and enjoying the desert and trashing it for others. And when you throw that stuff out, it not only affects the people and the beauty of the desert, but it adversely affects the animal life and the plant life. And, the plastics, they dry and rot and, in the sun and get all brittle and break down. And you've got then dry shards of plastic that animals will come by and they'll eat, or they'll cut themselves on, or the plastic, the BPAs from the plastic or BPs from plastic, whatever that is, leaches into the soil. You've got, all kinds of stuff that, is going to poison our land. It's going to kill our animals. Why would you want to do that? Just be responsible and pick up after yourself. But kudos to the people who went out there this weekend, because like I said, they filled those dumpsters several times, many trips to the dump. And it was really a very, very, very admirable weekend event. And those that helped clean up, thank you so much. You really did a good job. But there was one person after the cleanup who got caught throwing stuff into the river, garbage. And his name is out there, his license plate number is out there for everybody to see. That was just awful. After everybody's hard work, you're going to turn around and throw stuff off the highway into the river. That's just ridiculous. Anyway, another thing I wanted to talk about, we haven't heard a whole lot about it, but there is still activity going on with the McFalls murder case. And that is Susan and Jerry McFalls Sr. Both were killed January of 2018. It is still an open and unsolved case. But I assure you that there are new agencies coming into the case. They're trying to get the state involved to come in and take over some of the investigation. There is a new private investigator in on the case, as well as the old investigator who is not giving anything up, whether the family is paying him or not. It is a public case, and any public information is welcome, whether it leads to an arrest or not, whether you think the information's pertinent or not. Every little bit of information is one more piece of the puzzle that is going to be put together to eventually solve their murders. And I don't know what the Mojave County sheriffs are doing, but every single time they're asked questions about the case, it is the same standard pat answers. They don't change. There has been no no leads, no breaks on the case. They have not let the people who were counted as the initial suspects, they're still the suspects even after 3 years. No arrest has been made, but you still got people named as primary suspects, but you've got all of the family members who are still also suspect, except I believe Teresa and Bob Hutchinson, who both took polygraph tests and were told by the police, by the sheriffs, by the detectives that they were no longer needed. They would not be further, questioned any further, and that they passed the polygraph test. Thank you very much. They are still looking for a silver Jeep, a silver SUV. It is a silver Jeep Cherokee. The approximate year is about 2003. Jerry and Susan were last seen just before they disappeared, just before January 11th. They were seen around Christmas time of 2017 driving that silver Jeep Cherokee. They had the dogs in the car. Susan had the dogs on her lap while some of the neighbors' kids were reaching into the car, petting the dogs, talking to Susan and Jerry. And then all of a sudden the car is disappeared, and certain family members say that this never existed, although we have got eyewitnesses saying that it did. We have got also family members saying that, again, no such vehicle ever existed. No such vehicle had been looked for. That is not true. The Mojave County Police both weren't sure at the beginning whether they were looking for a sedan or an SUV. Silver, later modeled. That was evident. That was, solid information. But whether it was a sedan or an SUV was a little up in the air. But it is an SUV that they're looking for, and it is an SUV that was positively identified by neighbors. And again, the family members saying that they don't know anybody who has such an SUV. They've never known anybody who had an SUV like that. And here, one of the family members actually had an employee who worked for her for 13 years who did have that kind of make and model SUV. It's speculated that it might have been sold to Jerry and Susan when the little white pickup that they had for tolling around town and getting back and forth around this area blew up on them. They blew the engine in the little white pickup and apparently acquired the silver SUV afterward. But again, they were last seen in that SUV driving it around the Desert Springs area, around their home. Neighbors saw them. Neighbors reached into the car, pet the dogs. So if you have any information or knowledge of that SUV or its whereabouts, that would be very helpful. Please, you can instant message Mesquite Today, and I will pass on the information to the investigators. There's also a journalist working on a documentary, putting together a documentary on the story. There is some activity with an Australian psychic of some sorts, whatever you want to believe there. I don't even know how this Australian psychic got a hold of it. I think she was trolling Facebook pages, happened to find this, but she's been passing misinformation about it. She has not been accurate about any of the things that she said about where the bodies were discovered or anything like that. Yet her inaccuracy is apparently giving her the right to trash Mike Ganuscio, who was running for sheriff way back, who really had very little to do with this case. She got on there and, did some videos really kind of not really favorable about Mike. She did some videos against me, saying that I was lying, basically, that I had never talked to any family members, but that is not true. We had the Teresa and Bob Hutchinson, the cousins, and of Jerry McFalls Jr., his cousin Bob, and wife Teresa were down here to take the polygraph right here in Littlefield, Beaver Dam. We went out to the gravesite together. We cleaned it up a little bit, had plenty of time to talk to them about the case. We did a memorial, a 2-year memorial, to where 2 of Susan's grandchildren, Caden and I can't remember her name right off the bat, but both of Susan's grandchildren were down here, and their other set of grandparents, which Susan and Jerry and the other set of grandparents who live in Salt Lake had co-custody, shared custody of Caden. And so the other set of Caden's other grandparents were also down here, and I talked to them in person, and they had a lot of opinions and a lot to say. One of the biggest things that the Caden's paternal grandfather had said was that he was very close with Susan and Jerry, and where they were trying to push the initial claim and suspicion on the next door neighbor because of a discharge of a BB gun and a case that was pending because of that BB gun, that Jerry Sr., the victim, and Dave Myhaver, the next door neighbor, had some huge major battle going on between one another all over this BB gun incident, and some kind of eviction. When Susan and Jerry first bought the house, they had to kick the Myhaver out of there. He lived next door. Anyhow, it was made to sound a whole lot bigger. The fight that was going on, or the battle that was going on between Myhaver and McFalls, was made to sound much bigger by certain family members, when in fact the paternal grandfather said that him and Jerry had discussed the incident and the disputes that were going on with the neighbor, but Jerry spoke of it as it was no big deal. So he mentioned it casually, said he wasn't really worried or concerned about it, and kind of blew it off. And again, the BB gun charge was actually not against David Myhaver. It was against David's girlfriend or wife. So Myhaver wasn't actually the one who was supposed to get in trouble for it. So why he would retaliate, maybe for his wife, who knows? That's all speculation. And there is no hard evidence. They've dug up Myhaver's entire yard. They have dug up his septic tank. It was sitting outside, a brand new septic tank that he paid big money to install, was then sitting outside. It's prospective home for the longest time, and I haven't been by there lately, but I mean, it was sitting out there for like 2 years or better after they dug it up. So I mean, it's created this entire investigation, as poorly as it has been handled by Mojave County sheriffs. It has really caused a lot of inconvenience and not resulted in a whole lot of anything. There's definitely no progress being made on the case that Mojave County is releasing to anybody, and other family members who are involved and have, just as much to say in it, are being shut out. When their grandmother was still, the grandmother was under care, nursing home care. She's the one who was getting a great deal of money. So there's a lot of money involved in this case. The grandmother was the tribal member who received those funds, and anybody who was the custodian of the grandmother um, handles those funds or has control over those funds. And right now that happens to be Jerry Jr. and Mary D. McFalls. So having control and guardianship over the grandmother, they are not allowing other family members to visit her without Jerry and Mary D being right there as well. So nobody can visit their grandmother or their great-grandmother without their visit being supervised by Jerry and Mary D. Even when they go there, the nursing home, their caregivers are under orders to call Mary D and Jerry. And all they do is sit there and monitor. So I don't know why, neither do other family members know why they insist on doing that. But so that case is still active with people outside the Mojave County Police Department. It is being actively pushed to have the state pick it up again. It's being actively investigated by an outside private investigator, which is not David Bounsel. Although Dave Bounsel is, again, he's not letting this rest, and I don't blame him. He has put in a lot of time and effort and heart into this case, and if it weren't for Dave Bounsel, you would never hear about it. You would not have heard about any of this over the couple of years, because he has stayed on me about bringing the story to public. He has stayed on the agencies about doing their jobs, whether it just be checking in with them to see if there's any new information or not. He has lit the fire under this investigation all along and not letting them just blow it off or forget about it. So I, for one, am grateful, and I'm sure that Susan and Jerry are looking down from wherever they are and thanking David for not forgetting about them and not letting their murder go unsolved and being just shut up and forgotten about. So Bounsel says he couldn't imagine what Susan and Jerry's last thoughts might be. You know, what have I done so awful to this person that they feel the need to kill me and leave me buried in a shallow grave to where I'm subject to animals and elements and disrespected and basically left out there like they meant nothing to anybody, and that is not what it's about. They meant a lot of things to a lot of people, to neighbors, to community members, to other family members, and there's a bunch of people out here who are not going to let this die, and they're not going to let this just go away. So I will keep you updated and posted on any progress or activity that is going on that case. That is the one exception I'll make to keeping you updated on any news type of thing. So anyway, that's all I have for you today. I will be back. I won't be on tomorrow. There won't be a live show. Tomorrow is the Toastmasters meeting. Again, you can go to Toastmasters International and learn more about it. It is a great speaking club. Help you with public speaking, help you do things like this. If you're interested in doing podcasts, interested in doing public speaking of any kind, even teaching, Toastmasters is a great way to get comfortable and learn techniques to help build your repertoire of speeches, whether it be comedic or persuasive or informative, all kinds of different speeches you can work on. So I will see you all Wednesday morning. And until then, I hope that your days are filled with sunshine, laughter, peace, and love. And other than that, I'm out.